I want you to hit me as hard as you can.
Hey everybody, it's Chris Bumbray here again for JoeBlow.com with a preview of the most anticipated movies coming out between now and the end of the year, including Oscar hopefuls, potential blockbusters, and the odd surprise or two thrown in the mix. Coming in at number 25 is Manchester by the Sea. Now, Amazon Studios paid big bucks for this Kenneth Lonergan drama starring Casey Affleck back at Sundance, with the idea being that this is their best shot at some Oscar gold. Having seen the movie for myself, I'll say this, it was worth every penny, and Affleck gives the performance of his life. Coming in at 24 is Moana, a CGI animated comedy from Disney with Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson lending his voice as a South Pacific demigod. This comes from the directors of Aladdin. Coming in at 23 is Bad Santa 2, a movie many of us still aren't quite sure about. Sure, the first one was hilarious and Billy Bob Thornton is back, but where's director Terry Zwigoff? And isn't 13 years a little too long to wait for a sequel? Coming in at 22 is Bleed for This, a biopic of boxer Vinny Paz who struggled to regain his boxing career after breaking his neck. This one from Boiler Room director Ben Younger is poised to be a tour de force for star Miles Teller. Next up is Birth of a Nation, the true story of a slave uprising led by Nat Turner. Nate Parker's passion project has been overshadowed by the director's past in recent weeks. Having seen this movie at Sundance, and I can assure you, this is a quality film, but whether or not it will find an audience is a different story, even if it was one of the biggest acquisitions in the festival's history. Coming in at number 20 is Tom Ford's Nocturnal Animals, starring Jake Gyllenhaal, Amy Adams, and Michael Shannon. A stylish thriller, this one makes its debut at TIFF in a few weeks and could be another awards contender. At number 19 is The Founder, with Michael Keaton starring as Ray Kroc, one of the men behind McDonald's restaurants and a controversial figure to say the least. The Weinstein Company recently moved this from the summer to the winter awards season, so let's see if their presumed faith in the film is warranted. Coming in at number 18 is Patriots Day, a drama about the Boston Marathon bombing starring Mark Wahlberg, who reteams with director Peter Berg for this fact-based story. Next is Miss Peregrine's Home for Peculiar Children, Tim Burton's latest fantasy epic, starring the luscious Eva Green and the somewhat less luscious but still cool Samuel Jackson, along with many others, with this based on the famous book and obviously an attempt at a huge fantasy franchise. In at 16 is the sexy thriller The Girl on the Train, starring Emily Blunt and Mission Impossible Rogue Nation's Rebecca Ferguson. Based on the hot novel by Paula Hawkins, many are expecting this to be this year's Gone Girl. We'll just have to wait and see. In at 15 is the World War II epic romance Allied from Robert Zemeckis and starring a little-known actor you may have heard of, Brad Pitt. Yep, that guy. Marion Cotillard co-stars in the movie, which screams Oscar bait and should be a classy thriller. Coming in at 14 is Adam Wingard's Blair Witch, a follow-up to the indie hit that launched 1,000 imitators. Our own Jimmy O raved about this at Comic-Con, and it's set for a Midnight Madness debut at TIFF next month, so should be good. Next is A Monster Calls from director J.A. Bayona, director of The Impossible. In this fantasy, a young boy comes to terms with his mother's illness through a bizarre friendship with a magical tree monster voiced by Liam Neeson of all people. Sounds interesting. Next we have Deepwater Horizon. Like Patriots Day, this is another fact-based drama from Peter Berg and stars Mark Wahlberg taking on the BP oil spill this time, with Kurt Russell, Kate Hudson, and John Malkovich also in the cast, and this is also due for a large-scale IMAX release, so should promise some very good eye candy. Coming in at 11 is the highly anticipated holiday release Passengers, starring Jennifer Lawrence and Chris Pratt as two space station passengers accidentally awoken from space sleep and doomed to spend the rest of their lives together. With this cast and it coming from the director of The Imitation Game, we can expect this to be one of the buzziest titles of the season. In at number 10, we have Gavin O'Connor's The Accountant, starring Ben Affleck as a forensic accountant who uncooks books for some of the world's most dangerous people and finds himself hunted for what he knows. Co-starring Anna Kendrick and Affleck's upcoming Justice League co-star J.K. Simmons. Coming in at number 9 is Ang Lee's Billy Lynn's Halftime Walk. Lee's movie, which centers around an Iraq War veteran spending a few days at home as part of a PR stunt, has an intriguing cast which includes Vin Diesel, Kristen Stewart, and Chris Tucker, but it's most noteworthy for Lee having shot at 120 frames per second and in 3D, unique for a small-scale drama. Coming in at number 8, we've got Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, Warner Brothers' big return to the wizarding world of J.K. Rowling, with Eddie Redmayne starring as Wizard Newt Scamander. Warner's hopes this will appeal to the now grown-up fans who read the Harry Potter books and watched the films as children. We'll just have to wait and see. Next up is Denis Villeneuve's Arrival. Always one to watch, this is Villeneuve tiptoeing into sci-fi territory for the first time with his Blade Runner sequel in theaters next year. Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, and Forrest Whitaker star in this story of mankind's first contact with aliens. Expect something more like Close Encounters of the Third Kind than ID4. At 6 is another TIFF title, Antoine Fuqua's star-studded big-budget remake of The Magnificent Seven. Denzel Washington leads the cast, which includes Chris Pratt taking on the number 2 role from Steve McQueen, with Ethan Hawke, Vincent D'Onofrio, and more on board to play our Western heroes. Rounding out our top 5 is Jack Reacher Never Go Back, a smaller-scaled franchise for Tom Cruise compared to Mission Impossible. His Last Samurai director Ed Zwick directs this sequel, co-starring Colby Smulders. In this, our scrappy scrappy ex-army hero goes back to his old stomping grounds to clear a friend of murder and beat a lot of guys up. At number 4 is director Mel Gibson's highly intriguing Hacksaw Ridge, a fact-based World War II account based on the life of Medal Award winner and non-combatant Desmond T. Doss. Andrew Garfield stars in what could be Gibson's big return to respectability. Coming in at number 3 is the video game adaptation Assassin's Creed, starring Michael Fassbender as a time-hopping assassin. It comes from his Macbeth director Justin Kurzel, with that movie's co-star Marion Cotillard also sharing duties with Fassbender. Coming in at number 2 is Marvel's latest Doctor Strange, starring Benedict Cumberbatch as the titular hero, with Rachel McAdams as his love interest and Tilda Swinton as his mentor. Based on the early trailers, this looks like a strikingly different kind of comic book movie, and Marvel rarely goes wrong. And topping out our list is Rogue One, a Star Wars story, which is a prequel to the original Star Wars, starring Felicity Jones as rebel soldier tasked with finding the top secret plans to the Death Star. While the buzz is mixed so far, the early trailers are great, and word has it this is a Star Wars movie through and through. And there you have it. Until next time, I'm Chris Bumbray for JoeBlow.com.